cubic feet. That's a 6-7-fold increase. They got plenty of gas. The problem is getting it where it needs to go.
Fox Business's Jeff Flock noting that multiple pipeline projects have been canceled over environmental concerns. Meantime, oil prices rise again, hitting $82 a barrel before settling back a bit, but still above 80. That's fueling a 7-year high for gasoline prices as well. The White House says it's monitoring the costs, but standing by its call for oil-producing countries to do more to support the global pandemic recovery. A late sell-off on Wall Street today, blamed in part on earnings report concerns. The Dow dropped 250 points. America is listening to Fox News.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out, because when you find the perfect home, you don't want to lose it to anybody else. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers and their agents greater confidence in you. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this. What can help you buy the home you really want? Rocket can. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET. That's rocketmortgage.com or call 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information appraisal and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
A nurse has died in New York City after being shoved to the ground by a robbery suspect who's now facing more serious charges.
58-year-old Maria Ambrosio was walking down the street here in Times Square on Friday in the middle of the day when she was knocked to the ground by a suspected thief who collided with her as he was sprinting down the street after having just stolen a phone from another woman. Ambrosio is an oncology nurse. She hit her head on the pavement. She was knocked unconscious, began foaming at the mouth, and she died at the hospital. The suspect, 26-year-old Jermaine Foster, now faces second-degree murder charges and robbery charges.
Fox's Brian Yennis. Foster is reportedly homeless and suffers from mental health issues. The suspect in the killing of a veteran state trooper is now facing multiple charges in Louisiana, also accused of killing a woman and injuring 3 other people. Police believe the trooper was ambushed, and it took over 14 hours until his body was found. And that's something that is prompting a review of police communication policies in Louisiana. Some breaking news out of California at this hour, just confirmed by a fire official, at least 2 people killed in a fiery plane crash, a small plane that burned homes as it went down, still waiting for more information. A happy homecoming in Texas as a 3-year-old boy missing for several days is reunited with his family.
I think he had a guardian angel over him the entire time. I think we scared every wild animal out of here with helicopters and boots on the ground and whatever. So there was no coyotes or anything that would hurt him because it was quiet at night.
Grimes County Sheriff Don Sewell thanking the Good Samaritan who found Christopher Ramirez over the weekend, nearly 5 miles from his home, an area not far from where sheriff's deputies had been looking. He's been reunited with his mother now and taken to a children's hospital. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Mostly sunny and mild for this afternoon. We'll have highs in the upper 60s. It will be a little breezy with winds out of the north-northwest at 10 to 20. Clear skies overnight tonight with lows in the lower 40s. We'll have winds out of the northwest at 5 to 15. A few more clouds around for Tuesday with highs in the lower 60s. And then windy and rainy for your Wednesday with highs in the upper 50s. Remember, you can always find the full forecast at am1100theflag.com. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki.
We're at Kinder Care in West Fargo talking with Judy, whose mother is here, to find out what kind of experience they've had as a family.
Mother has been here about 4 years. Kinder Care is an answer to our prayers. Here she is part of the family. She's never in her room alone. She's just out with everyone. I can join in on every activity with her. They send me videos of her. I just can't say enough. She's so very well kept here.
Visit kindercarefargo.com or call 701-3246 for a tour today.
Celebrating America, 1 hour at a time. This is the Chris Berg Show.
29%. 29%. I want you to keep that number in mind. Then I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, when you were back in school, if you did a test or went through a semester and you scored 29% on that test, I'm just curious, what kind of grade did you get where you went to school if you got 29%? We're going to be talking about that today. Welcome to the Chris Berg Show, your oasis of freedom. Number to call into the show. We're looking forward to your points of view today. 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Call in anytime. I hope you had an absolutely just amazing weekend. Little rain, I know, but we needed it, so that's all good. And I went out on Saturday and went to the Fargo Freedom Rally, and there was just a fantastic turnout. We had Mike Downs out there doing some video, so I'm going to play some clips for you from the Fargo Freedom Rally, and you're going to want to pay attention to that as well, because there was I don't know what you would call it, an anti-protester or opposite protester, whatever, that showed up. And I didn't get this on video, but this person showed up and they were talking about Black Lives Matter and how all the white people there don't belong here. And then she started actually spitting on Old Glory. And I didn't get a chance to get that on camera. I wish I would have, but you're going to hear a little bit from her later on in the show. And I'm trying to go through, because there's so much that's been going on over the weekend, where I want to start today. We are going to, I think I need to start here just to kind of set the stage for you. We might as well just get right into it, right? Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're not familiar with the "Let's go, Brandon" chant yet, we will explain it. I will explain it later in the show. Let's just say that there were some "Let's go, Brandon" signs at the Fargo Freedom Rally on Saturday. Okay, so let's get into this 29% number, because this is shocking. Hopefully some of you saw this last week. The numbers were released as far as student achievement percentages here in North Dakota assessment. So earlier today on social media, I asked you, I said, hey, without knowing any of this information I'm going to give you today, and just kind of how we go through life and you look at your kids' education and your education, I'm just curious, how would you grade the North Dakota K through 12 education system? So if you were to sit down and you think about either yourself or your kids going through our K through 12 system, what kind of grade would you give? Would you give it an A, a B, a C, a D? I would love to know your point of view on that, because when you take a moment and you think about, here's another great question for you. What do you feel is the most valuable resource on our planet? What do you feel is the most valuable resource on our planet? In my opinion, the most valuable resource on the planet is the hearts and minds of our kids. There's nothing more valuable, in my opinion, than the hearts and minds of our young kids. And here we are putting them into this education system, K through 12, and we just sort of presume that, hey, it was pretty good when I went, so it's got to be pretty good now. Wait till I dive in to these numbers for you folks. And I got to say, it's going to be really easy when I share this information with you. Go, oh, man, the teachers, the school board, Superintendent Kirsten Baszler. That's not where I want you to go today. Yeah, we're going to give you a chance to reach out to Superintendent Baszler and whatnot, but that's not where I want your brain to go today, because let me put it this way. If you think about the kids in our K through 12 system, right? And you and I were sitting down, having a cup of coffee, like maybe you are right now. Maybe you're driving somewhere and we're just having a nice, intimate conversation. You and I talking about your education, my education. And throughout that conversation, I just said to you, I said, if I asked you, when you think about North Dakota, I mean, we lead in so many areas. And I said to you, I said, hey, I'm just curious, out of like grades 3 through 10, and I asked you, what percentage of students in grades 3 through 10 in North Dakota do you think are actually proficient in math? What would you guess? grades 3 through 10 throughout the great state of North Dakota. And I said, how many percentage or what percentage of those students do you think are actually proficient in math? What would you guess? Again, number to call into the show to jump into this conversation, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Let's go, Brandon. That might just randomly pop out of my mouth every now and then today. So here's the latest data that came out last week. And Superintendent Basil actually had to testify in front of the Education Committee. She was on earlier here on WDAY with Kyle Cornell. Had a great interview. I'm going to play some of that for you in a moment. But here's the actual stats. So let's go to math, the most recent data that came out, and the percentage of students that are actually proficient in math in the entire state of North Dakota. When I've asked this question of the people, they're like, Chris, 50%, 60%. Folks, it's 29%. You and I are spending over $13,000 per student in our K through 12 system, and the ROI that we got in the most recent testing was 29%. Now, the way Kirsten Basler is framing this is, hey, this was all about COVID. That's why you see these numbers drop off so precipitously. There may be something to that. I'm going to play some of this interview for you in a moment from her. And the reality is the last time they did this test, which was spring of 2019, it was 34%. So it's not like it's, was good then, right? If you were in a classroom and you took a test and you got 29 or 34%, what kind of grade are you going to get? You and I both know it's not going to be a good one. So that's what's going on in math across the state. And here's the sad thing. I'm going to sort of set this up before I play some of her interview for you. But the sad thing is the fact that those are the ones that are proficient, okay? There's actually levels lower than proficiency called novice and partially proficient. Those went up. So unfortunately, we had students that are in the novice and partially proficient place. Those numbers actually went up in our education system as you and I are spending over $13,000 per student here in North Dakota. Let's go to English real quick before I get into this interview again, just so you've got some context of what you're about to hear. So in English, if I were to ask you, hey, what percentage of students grades 3 through 10 do you think are proficient in English classes here in the great state of North Dakota? That's 30%. 30%. And I hope you agree with me that I believe our kids are the most valuable resource on the planet. And those are the kind of numbers that we're spitting out in the great state of North Dakota, folks. It is stunning to me what's happening. As I mentioned before, I put this up on social media, and I want to invite you to go to our Facebook page because there's great conversations happening there 24/7. And just go to facebook.com/Chris Berg Show. Again, facebook.com/Chris Berg Show. But I asked you, hey, how do you feel about the education system here in North Dakota? Bea Marie gave it an F. Mickey Thompson, F. Sarah Benera, D-. Brian Speaker, C-. Mitch gives it an I for incomplete, indoctrination. Would love to know your point of view on the fact that North Dakota has got 29% proficiency in math and 30% proficiency in English in the most recent North Dakota State assessment. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm going to play a little bit of this for you now. We'll come back to it as well. But this is Superintendent Kirsten Basler. She was on with Kyle Cornell earlier today. Here's some of what she had to say about these most recent test scores. Can we get this to, I may have to go back here.
And of course, proficient, which is where we all want them to be. And of course, for those, and a 7% decline in math skills for all of those grade levels. Almost as concerning was we measure we identify student skills in novice, which is the lowest, partially proficient, and then of course proficient, which is where we all want them to be. And of course, for those wonderful high flyers, that advanced. So we saw an 11% increase in our novice group of students. So not only did our advanced and proficient students decline, we saw a huge jump in the number of students that were rated as novice, not even partially proficient, those that are just kind of on the bubble almost there. So we have a lot to work on, some significant declines, but as I stated in my press release, with these significant declines, we have an opportunity for a significant comeback. As football players say, you can't have a historic comeback without a historic deficit. So that's kind of where we're at. Our teachers are working hard. But Kyle, I think one of the things that's most interesting is I don't really believe that most North Dakotans expected this decline. They felt that when students were going to school last fall, when many of their counterparts across the nation and other states weren't going to school buildings, we felt that we were maybe insulated a little bit from some of these learning challenges. But what we saw was a pandemic is a pandemic, and chaos in students and teachers' lives impacts the learning, regardless if you're going to a building every day or not.
So I'm going to play some more of that for you here in a moment, because we dive into, so what do we do, right? So what's the solution to this? I want to share with you a quick quote from her presser, because this is important as well. You and I have talked about this in the past, where now there's been literally hundreds of millions of dollars thrown at the North Dakota public education system. Now, what I'm asking you is, have you ever seen a time when you've just thrown a bunch of cash at the education system and it spit out better scores for students? I have yet to see that. It's very rare to see that. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. But she's saying, hey, the decline is significant. It presents a challenge to all of us educators in North Dakota. Fortunately, our schools have been provided unprecedented resources to use in reversing these trends. We've experienced significant loss, and we are now presented with an opportunity to make a significant comeback. You heard a little bit of her mention that there. The challenge is, if I shared with you how much money the state has already dumped into K through 12 versus what we've seen in increases in, increase in student population, throwing cash at the situation isn't necessarily going to produce a better education for individual students. Yes, it may help, but this is where you and I, right? The old saying, hey, it takes a village to raise a child. This is where you and I need to come together and go, okay, no more am I going to just throw my kid into a system, cross my fingers and hope they spit out with proficient scores, good scores, or whatever it might be. We all need to get involved. Would love to know your point of view and the fact that North Dakota, 29% proficiency in math, 30% proficiency in English in the latest student assessment scores. Where I went to school, if I got 29 or 30, that was not, I'm not even going to say it, but that was not a good grade. So never to call into the show, 271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. You're listening to the Chris Berg Show, your oasis of freedom. Stay with us.
The tradition started in 1908 for H.A. Thompson and Sons. Harry Abbott Thompson, he was the namesake. He had a son, Harry, and he had a son, Mark. Mark and his wife, Claudia, are now the owners of H.A. Thompson and Sons, operated every day with their daughters as well, helping people save money. If you go to hatandsons.com, you'll find out more about the commercial service, the link service they provide that save you money. hatandsons.com. Since 1908, serving North Dakota and the entire upper Midwest.
For more than 40 years, Jose Investments has brought plans to life and made dreams come true by delivering expertise and service to those wishing to lease office space, buy or sell land, or develop office buildings. Their team of professionals has extensive experience with landlords, tenants, buyers, sellers, and developers in the tri-state region. They know the properties, they know the market. When you look to the future, look to Jose Investments. Go online to joseinvestments.com. That's KJOSinvestments.com.
The generous one. Generous Jerry from Gold Silver Exchange, Grand Forks, 2124 Gateway Drive is with us. Jerry, what's COVID-19 done for precious metals?
Well, we've seen a good buying spree come with the precious metals. We were behind in delivery of product because product was becoming scarce. But as of now, we're caught up. We have good inventory. The COVID-19 has had an effect on precious metals around the country. When fear strikes, people flock to precious metals. Of course, that will drive the price up.
Why is that? When fear is out there, people are scared and they flock to precious metals. Why are they doing that?
Historically, gold and silver have always been real money. And when people get fearful, they want the real stuff.
A name you can trust to maneuver you through these waters, Generous Jerry and the team at Gold Silver Exchange Grand Forks. Call them at 701-746-9950. Tell them Scott sent you.
Hi, this is Natalie Tucksher from Vision Bank. Did you know that home loan rates are still at historic lows? That's right, there's still time to refinance. With lower rates, you can reduce your monthly payment or cut years off the term of your mortgage. Now is the time to refinance, buy, or build. Vision Bank has the best rates, responsive lenders, and will guide you through the entire process. For more information, check out visionbanks.com, call 701-364-2020, or stop into one of our 3 locations. Bank with Vision, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
What's not to love about the Moorhead Village Inn, right? Great menu, VIB breakfast. How'd you like that same great meal delivered right to your door, hot and fresh? Village Inn does it. Many of your friends are just going online, ordering breakfast, lunch, dinner, never leaving the house. So easy and delicious. And don't forget the pies, the famous Village Inn pies. Order online, delivered right to your door, easy and convenient. The Village Inn delivers great taste, great food, right to your door. Visit the Village Inn in Moorhead for the great breakfast and pies, or order online. Village Inn.
Go to education scores. So if you haven't heard the news, it's abysmal. It's abysmal. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. 701-271-1100. Would love to know your point of view on the fact that North Dakota right now has got 29% of its students grades 3, essentially through 10. They skip 9th grade, but essentially 3 through 10, 29% proficiency. That's in math. And then in English, it's 30% proficiency. Last time I checked, if I took a test and I got 29% or 30%, I was failing that class. So are we failing our kids, the most valuable resource on our planet, with what we're doing here with these scores as of late? Let's get to some of your phone calls. And also, Chris, super producer Chris, if you can give me the text line. I've got a text here that's saying, hey, I wish the show had a text line. So I know that we do. So Nathan will get that for you. And Nathan says, hey, when we went to school, it was a lot different. We both went to Claire Barton, Agassiz, and South. And I can't remember one refugee from another country when we grew up. Now the schools are completely full of them. If you walk through, I have not read this, obviously. If you walk through Fargo South, you'd be surprised. So you take all these refugees, they're not going to be very good at math, and that's going to bring down numbers and the stats down. Isn't that correct? I think that is one of the challenges. In fact, somebody tweeted at me and said, hey, Chris, go be a teacher, check it out from the other side. And I've said from day one, there's going to be refugees we're going to bring into our community. You have to teach them the basics with English and math and the basics. And I know that can be extremely challenging on the system. I understand that. And that's why I'm saying, hey, look, guys, we can't just point the finger at the system. We can't just point to Kirsten Baszler. We all need to look in the mirror and go, okay, scores are terrible. This is ridiculous. The fact that I'm dropping 13 grand plus per student and I've got 29% math proficiency, that's on us as a state. This is why I said originally last week about making North Dakota the freest state in the nation. And so many people came up to me after I spoke at the Petroleum Council and said, hey, Chris, I got 2 words for you to make North Dakota the freest state in the nation. 2 words. I was like, oh, okay. What are you going to say? Oil and money? Oil and gas? School choice. School choice. Text line, Nathan, 701-237-1590. If you want to text the show, 701-237-1590. And we love our callers. Let's go, Brandon. We love our callers. Let's get to you, 701-271-1100. Let's go to Lee from Lisbon. Lee, welcome to the show. What's your point of view?
I just had a quick question for you. What is the definition of proficiency or proficiency as it's referred to in this stat? And when they say 29% are proficient, I don't think that means that the average test score is 29%. It just means that 29% of the kids taking the test were proficient, but it doesn't tell us really what those test scores were.
Great point, super producer BG. If you can look into the definition of proficiency, please, or Chris, that would be proficient means that a learner has demonstrated competence in relation to knowledge and or set of skills related to identified standards. So competency, Lee, is what we are getting from the research here. And you bring up a great point. I apologize if I miscommunicated, but he's right. What I'm saying here, folks, is 29% of our students, 29% of our students were considered proficient in math. So that's terrible. The worst part is that you've got an even higher percentage of students that were in novice or partially proficient, only 9% that were actually in advanced. So, Lee, anything else you want to comment there, sir?
No, I think you cleared it up, but it would be great if, in addition to telling us that they're competent, what test score does a student have to get in order to get that rating?
And that's a great point. We'll look into that for you because we are in communication with Kirsten Baszler's office. So we'll try to get some more information for you on that, Lee. I think what I'm hoping that is being communicated today is the fact that, folks, I'm asking all of us right now, whether you have kids or not, all of us to take just a look in the mirror and go, okay, how can I serve our most valuable resource on the planet and make an impact, make a difference for the young people in the state to start to raise test scores, and that a high tide raises all ships. And I think this is so, so important. And let me share with you why. We all know that we have got this unbelievable workforce challenge in our state right now. I mean, ad nauseum, everywhere you go, everyone's going to say to you, I can't find workers. So since we know it's 20 below here at times, it's not an easy job to brand or recruit families that are, south of Nebraska to come here. So on top of that, now you start telling families, oh, hey, by the way, the most recent assessment scores show that our kids are 29 and 30% proficient in math and English. That's not a good sales pitch. That's why I'm asking all of us to go, hey, what can we do to have a high tide raise all ships? And that way, it gives us a better chance to go out and recruit. Let's go to your phone calls, and thank you for calling in. 701-271-1100. Let's go to Beth. And Beth, we've got about 60 seconds here, so if we want to keep you over the break, please stay with us. But Beth, what's your point of view? Thanks for calling.
Back when my kids were in school, I would ask teachers what they're doing to talent students, and they would look at me dumbfounded. And my kids would come home and say, you know what, we saw indoctrination in class today, or in a video today, it was propaganda that teacher was showing. And they all expressed the opinion as students that parents make a mistake in sending their kids to public school and they should be homeschooling. We had one child, her last 2 years, decide to homeschool because of things like that.
Wow. So how did the homeschooling, well, we got to leave it there, but just because of time. But thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. And here's the thing. I don't know if you guys have seen the new movie that's coming out, God's Not Dead, We the People. They're coming after homeschooling now as well. I'll play a little bit of that for you when we come back. Also, love to get to more of your points of view. The fact that North Dakota's got these, and look, I know this isn't an easy conversation for you and I to have, and it's an important conversation for you and I to have because it's our kids. Stay with us, 701-271-1100. You're listening to The Chris Berg Show.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
A choppy trading session as earlier gains fizzled with stocks closing near session lows. Investors are looking ahead to the start of earnings season this week, kicking off with major U.S. banks. The Dow falling 250 points, the Nasdaq down 93, S&P 500 down 30. And shares of heavy equipment maker Deere fell after a vast majority of auto workers union members rejected a contract offer from the company that would have delivered at least 5% raises to those who make Deere's tractors and other equipment. The UAW set a strike deadline for Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Deere representatives will continue the collective bargaining process while operations will continue as usual. And Chevron announced that it has an aspiration to reduce or offset carbon emissions from its operations, but not for its products, to zero by 2050. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Cleanliness and safety are essential to the success of any business. That's why Cintas has introduced our Total Clean program, a one-of-a-kind service that includes scheduled deliveries of essential cleaning supplies, hygienically cleaned uniforms, and on-site sanitizer and disinfectant services to help eliminate germs. Learn what the Cintas Total Clean program can do for you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for
Mostly sunny and mild for this afternoon. It will be a little bit on the breezy side. We'll have highs in the upper 60s with a north-northwest wind between 10 and 20. Clear skies and cool tonight. Lows in the lower 40s with a northwest wind of 5 to 15. And partly cloudy for your Tuesday. A few degrees cooler with highs in the lower 60s. A lot of wind and rain comes our way as we head into Wednesday with highs near 60. Remember, you can always find the full forecast at am1100theflag.com. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki.
Hi, Jeff from Cutting Edge. And folks, guess what? We have secured a great parcel of diamonds. There are rounds, ovals, radiants, pear shapes, marquees, cushions, every shape you can imagine. And we got a tremendous deal. So that means we're passing it on to you. Come to a Cutting Edge where you're going to save more money than you ever have before on the best diamonds in the world. A Cutting Edge, 4507 33rd Avenue South, right here in Fargo.
Since 1910, started as Bradshaw Gravel Supply, Strata has been a North Dakota-based, family-owned company for more than a century. The career opportunities waiting for you today are incredible. Go to stratacorporation.com, click on Careers. 1910 it started. Today it continues. State-of-the-art facilities, great employees, and safety is number one. No matter the job, they're there when you need them. That's Strata Solid.
I'm Steve Anderson, retired Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant, North Dakota American Legion Department Commander. I suffer from PTSD. I've contemplated suicide. After serving 20 years, I thought I could handle anything. Well, I was wrong. I was wearing a mask of bravado and stubbornness. If this sounds like you, get help. I did. Dial 211. Contact the Fargo VA today for help. You are not alone in this.
This ad is sponsored by the North Dakota Cares Coalition and aired in cooperation with the North Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
At Fix It Forward Auto Care, they know how stressful it is when your auto isn't running right. That's why they work hard to offer same-day or next-day service, loaner cars, key drop-off, and text messaging. They will even pick up and drop off your car, and you can pay online or over the phone. That's Fix It Forward Auto Care.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
President Trump had a huge rally in Iowa this past weekend, and only one major cable news channel covered it live, Newsmax. I watch it all the time. Newsmax is great. Newsmax Trump rally show had millions of people tune in. They're bypassing the big media and going right to Newsmax. You need to watch Newsmax all the time and tell your friends and family to do it too. Remember, Newsmax is on all major cable systems except for Midco, which refuses to carry Newsmax on its basic package, where they carry 11 liberal news channels like CNN and MSNBC, but won't carry Newsmax. And Midco viewers just missed Newsmax's recent special with Kristi Noem at the Reagan Ranch. If you're a Midco customer, remember, they carry dozens of channels with less viewership than Newsmax. Switch your cable and broadband service to one that does carry Newsmax on their basic package. Also on Newsmax this weekend, watch great shows with Mike Huckabee, Greg Kelly, Dick Morris, Diamond and Silk, and more. Newsmax, a trusted source. Watch Trump live on Newsmax.
We don't need
just improve their scores, right? One or the other. And look, I know the teachers are doing the best that they can. I'm asking us as a community here, as a state, to come together and support these young people to help ensure that we can provide the best education on the planet for our most valuable resource, and that's our kids. Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your oasis of freedom every single day from 4 to 5 p.m. You and I get to celebrate America, celebrate our freedoms. We're going to get to your phone calls here in just a moment. Number to call into the show if you want to talk about some of the education scores here in North Dakota that are not good as of right now. Let's have an honest heart-to-heart education about what you and I can be doing to improve education in North Dakota. Number 701-271-1100. Very easy to do. You just grab your phone, dial 701-271-1100. First, though, flat rate fee saves thousands. Flat rate fee saves thousands at James Patrick Real Estate. It's a company that's been in the real estate business for about almost 10 years now. And the more I learn about them, the more I'm just really blown away by what they're doing for you, their clients. So I'm on their website right now, and they've got this really cool, it's like a listing fee comparison. So what they've done is that it doesn't matter what you sell the home for, whether it's $200,000 or $500,000, the fee is the same either way. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here. Let's say that you hire James Patrick Real Estate, right, to list your home. You're going to sell your home. So the typical agent is 3%, $7,500 if your home's $250,000. But with James Patrick Real Estate, $3,500. So you save yourself about $4,000. Let's go. If your house is about $500,000, let's see here. You can scroll along here. $500,000 home, James Patrick Real Estate can save you over $11,000 if you list your home with them. They've got pages of testimonials on their website. So James Patrick Real Estate, honest advice, proven results. All right, let's get to your phone calls. Thank you so much for calling in. Again, number of the show, 701-271-1100. Barry from Oaks, welcome to the show. What's your point of view?
Oh, my point of view is the way they used to do these standardized tests, you didn't put your name on them or nothing. So there was you didn't get graded on them or anything. We used to joke about it and call them dot-to-dot tests. We never actually read the questions. We just did the dot-to-dot, and that was it. So they're a joke.
Well, I guess that's fair. The other piece of it, I didn't see the exact scores, but it sounds like even the ACT scores, which is sort of that entrance exam for that many colleges use, that the ACT scores were down precipitously as well here across the great state of North Dakota. Now, where do we score nationally amongst the ACT? I don't know. I'll have to look into that and get that for us. But just interesting that there was the same correlation. So, Barry, maybe we need to then let people know, hey, this is important. Don't just go do the dot-to-dot thing, okay?
Well, maybe they should be graded on it. If they're graded on it and it's going to affect their grade, maybe they'll work harder at it.
There you go. There's a great suggestion. That's what we're looking for. What are some things that we can be doing to serve our most valuable resource on our planet? And that's our kids. Now, Beth had called in and talked about homeschooling. I've mentioned to you now several times that when I spoke at the North Dakota Petroleum Council, people were coming up to me and saying, Chris, if we are going to make North Dakota the freest state in the nation, and we all know that that is extremely valuable these days, if we're going to make North Dakota the freest state in the nation, we need to obviously have school choice. There's ways to do that. You can have vouchers, things of that nature. But the voucher is where the money actually follows the student. So I'm getting some information here for you, just so you know. The average ACT test score in North Dakota, 19.6. The average score of ACT in the nation, 20.6. I think, producer Bridget, what's the max score in the ACT now? Is it 34?
Yes, it's a 34, and that is perfect and very hard to achieve. I know that they have been doing kind of some restructuring of the ACT for different sections, but if you're shooting for a 34, you are studying full force. So a 20, I would say, is yeah.
I'm studying full force. You're just showing up and getting a 34. So that's producer Bridget. So thank you. And Chris, great information here. So 19.6 is the average ACT score in North Dakota. Across the nation, the average is 20.6. So again, if you're going to go out there and talk to families and say, hey, North Dakota is a great place, move your family here. One of the key things you're going to have in that conversation with families, of course, if they have kids,
is, hey, what's the education system like? Like, let's say I move to Bismarck or Fargo or Can-Do or whatever. They're going to ask, so what's the education system like for my kids? Can they get some college credit, things? And if we're sharing with them, hey, our kids are at 29% proficiency, we're below average when it comes to the ACT, it's not horrible. It's just not a great sales pitch. So I'm asking us, what can you and I be doing to improve these scores to make North Dakota even that much more attractive so we can actually solve this workforce challenge that we talk about and face? It seems like all the time, right? I mean, it's all we talk about. So I want to play a little bit, as I mentioned before, there's this new video out, new movie, I should say, God's Not Dead, We the People. I want to play a little bit of this trailer for you because some friends of mine have went to go see the film. And it's really about the way the feds now, and you may have seen this recently, I played the clip last week, where the Secretary of Education was asked, so who's really the main decision maker when it comes to our kids? Is it the parents? Is it the family? Or is it the state? He wasn't clear that, oh yeah, it's definitely the parents, right? So the state continues to try to usurp your powers, to take over and have more and more power over your kids. So here's a little clip, a trailer from God's Not Dead, We the People.
Freedom is a fragile thing, and it's never more than one generation away from extinction. And those in world history who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again.
Let's face it, your God, your book, they're in the way. You feel that you're making a last-ditch stand for your faith, and you've chosen this as a hill that you're willing to die on.
Our whole faith started because one man chose a hill he was willing to die on.
I would like to call this hearing of the House Subcommittee to order.
Right now, there's an effort underway to mandate universal educational guidelines.
Once we decide what a child needs to know, it becomes imperative that every child know it.
Wow. I mean, there's just so blatant now what's in your face. Hey, once we decide what a child needs to know, then every child needs to know it. So where do you fit in? Where do you fit in as a parent? Again, this is where I know in my heart and my bones, if you and I can come together, unite across North Dakota and develop a powerful school choice program, it's going to be another great selling point to bring in families that want to live here. It's a great workforce issue to solve that problem and say, hey, you can actually now go and have your money follow your child. You can utilize that money how you want and maximize your education opportunity for your son or daughter. I'm going to play a little bit more of this for you.
Remember the visit we got from social services the other day?
I'm here to review your homeschooling environment.
Religion has been removed from our schools. They're teaching kids that they don't need God.
If your children do not show up at school a week from Monday, you will be charged with contempt of court, meaning you will be incarcerated.
Shannon said last night she doesn't want her parents going to jail.
This is bigger than just homeschooling. I think we should fight this. We need to.
Just want to make sure you understand what you're fighting here.
Our district teaches a revisionist version of history.
If God is for us, who can be against us?
Around here, just about everyone else.
The country is just now beginning to realize that unity means winning under our terms.
For 2,000 years, men have been trying to get rid of Christianity. What makes you think that you can accomplish what they couldn't?
They didn't have an 83% approval rating.
My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living.
That's part of your plan, isn't it? Keep us all divided so we don't realize that you're really chipping away at our freedoms and liberties.
America is a country so blessed to whom much is given, much will be required.
You see those statues and those monuments out there? They say, you work for us.
You are out of order, Mr. Hill.
A government of the people, by the people, for the people. So what are you and I going to do to change the direction? You know, I'm going to play at some point some more of this interview from Kirsten Baszler. It may not be today, but even she said, you know, as we look back on history and look at the scores across our state, they were 47% in English, 45% proficiency in math. Again, if you go back to the time that you were in school and if you handed in a paper or a test and you got a score back of 47 or 45%, you're failing that class. I don't want to see us as North Dakotans failing our kids. And so look, I know this is a tough conversation, but I'm asking you and I just to put our brains together, put our hearts together, come together as a community, come together as a state, and begin to say, okay, let's put together a game plan here to ensure that your daughter, your granddaughter, your grandson, your son can go and just have an amazing educational experience. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. You heard it in that video there, big conversation around freedom. Everywhere I go now, people are concerned about the restriction of their freedoms right here in the United States of America. So on Saturday, there was a freedom rally that took place. And folks, there was, I don't know the exact number, but probably a couple hundred people out there on Veterans Memorial Bridge, bridges, pun intended, Fargo and Moorhead together, right? And it was so great to be out and about, just talking to people about why are you here? Like, why are you taking time out of a Saturday? It was a little misty out. Why are you taking time out of a Saturday to stand for freedom? So I'm going to play some of that for you because we got some great video of some of the organizers and different people that showed up. But I think it's going to really resonate with you and let you know that you're not alone. The more and more I talk to some people that are fighting for truth, standing for freedom, they feel like, man, Chris, I'm out here. I'm doing the best I can. But sometimes it just feels lonely being in this fight. Well, I'm here to tell you, and they're here to tell you that you're not alone in this fight. And if we can unite, we can start to turn the tide and get this thing back on track. So stay with us when we come back. We're going to get some of those clips for you. And of course, always love to hear from you. Call into the Chris Berg Show, 701-271-1100, your oasis of freedom.
This is Danny with Grateful Gratefuls. An astounding 68% of customers will leave a business because they don't feel appreciated. Showing gratitude with unique, thoughtful gifting is easier than you think. We are Grateful Gratefuls, and we are your locally owned and serviced partner in gifting. New baby, get well, birthday, and more. Take care of your business by taking care of your clients. Visit us online at gratefulgratefuls.com or stop by 300 Cheyenne Street in West Fargo.
The Tioga Chamber of Commerce is proud to sponsor programming on AM 1090 KTGO and AM 550 KFYR. Tioga is an active community that offers great activities for families like Freedom Fest, Drone Camp for Kids, Farm Festival, Pumpkin Fest, and Robot Camp for Kids. We have a vibrant downtown Main Street and a brand new community center. Tioga's average median age is 39.6 years old with a median income of $73,000 per year, supporting nearly 140 businesses in the Tioga area. And we welcome new businesses and industries with plenty of active community groups that support the business environment. Tioga also supports local education with technologies like drones, 3D printers, and electronics and coding opportunities to prepare students for success well into the 21st century. Please visit us in Tioga and experience a different point of view. Or for more information, visit www.tiogaND.org. That's tiogaND.org.
Is your company's website actively helping to grow your business, retaining customers, and bringing in new ones? If your answer is no, or even worse, I don't know, OnSharp is here to help. OnSharp is a world-class web development agency based right here in Fargo, and we can show you how your company's website can become your most powerful asset. We've developed a free resource guide called Getting It Right the First Time to help you plan a successful website redesign project. Download your free guide today at onsharp.com/getitright.
Action Movers is hiring warehousemen, movers, packers, drivers, Bismarck, Fargo, Minot. No experience necessary, part-time, full-time positions available. All you need to do is pass the background check. If you have a Class A CDL, wow, what an opportunity. Never been a better time to join the moving industry, offering one of the most lucrative compensation plans they've ever had for employee drivers, owner-operators, local, regional, over-the-road opportunities, including a program to help you become an owner-operator. Find out more at their offices in Bismarck, Fargo, or Minot, or call 566-5532. Action Movers.
If you're in charge of your company's holiday party or event, you want the food to be delicious and the atmosphere to be great. O'Kelly's to the rescue. At O'Kelly's, they can help host a holiday or end-of-year party for $5 to $250, or for any number at your business or event. And they can cater any kind of food. Give them a theme and they'll create the menu. Tell them what food you want and they can make it happen. That's O'Kelly's at the Biltmore Inn just off Interstate 29 and Main Avenue in Fargo. Go online to o'kellysfargo.com.
One 271-1100 701-271-1100. We've been talking today about the recent scores here in North Dakota in regards to education, the proficiency in math and English for our students, grades 3 through 8, and then grades 10. We're going to have an honest conversation, look in the mirror conversation with each other, with ourselves. The scores are not good. Just the truth. They're just not good. And I know I talk to a lot of people across our great state. We try to sort of color code things, if you will, and, appease ourselves. Hey, no, the scores aren't good. And I know this is not fun to look in the mirror about that, but I think it's also exciting because one of the things that Kirsten Baszler does talk about is, hey, now there's a great opportunity for a great comeback. So that you and I, because people are going to look at these scores and go, wait a second, something's not working. We need to make some changes. This is when you've got an opportunity to go in and say, okay, this is not working. How do we improve this? And when we come together as a state, together, united, as we just talked about, we can make a difference. I asked earlier today on Twitter, I said, hey, what kind of grade would you give North Dakota K through 12 education? I'll just give you some of the stats here, but it's only 60 votes. I know this isn't a scientific poll, but just to give you an idea, 23% said an A, 25% gave North Dakota K through 12 a B, 21% a C, and 30% gave us a D. And just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching our live streams. We appreciate that. A lot of great things coming in. Person says, Danielle, good call from the gentleman called about the SAT test. He's right. We laughed about the dot to dot. Some kids don't care. Some kids are actually failing, and some just have an inability to comprehend the tests. So maybe we need to come up with another strategy, they said. One parent here said that their kids, I had it and I lost it, but their kids actually scored, I think it was a 31 and a 28 on the ACT. So they were doing extremely, extremely well. I want to play this for you because I think it's important. By the way, I do want to give out this quick information. So if you want to reach out to Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kirsten Baszler, email her, share your point of view with her on where these scores are at. Maybe you then ask her and say, hey, Superintendent Baszler, I heard the scores. They're not good. What can I do as a fellow North Dakotan to support our education system? How can I get involved to start to make an impact and improve the lives of the most valuable resource on our planet, our kids? Her email is really easy. Again, it's Superintendent Kirsten Baszler. Her email is K as in Karen, K Baszler, BAESLER at nd.gov. Now, why am I giving out an email over the radio? Because one of the most important things that I believe you and I can do here on our oasis of freedom, the Chris Berg Show, is fight for freedom. You just heard President Reagan there say a moment ago, look, freedom's just one generation away from being extinct. If we're not fighting for it, it's going to be gone. And so this is an opportunity for you to communicate with Superintendent Baszler, open up a dialogue, and then find out what you and I can be doing to improve the lives of our young ones, especially within the education system. Speaking of freedom, there was a fantastic freedom rally in Fargo. There's going to be another one coming up here on the 23rd of October at Veterans Memorial Bridge from 1 to 4. So, Carol, thank you for that on Facebook. But again, 10/23, that's a Saturday from 1 to 4. There'll be another freedom rally there. And so I went out, had a chance to visit with some of the people that were there, and I just asked them, so what was your inspiration? Like, why are you coming out on a Saturday and taking a stand for freedom? Here's what some of them had to say.
They're tired of what's going across the country and stuff with the Biden administration. And we just want people to stand up for their rights and not to lose their freedoms.
We're fed up with what the government's doing in our lives, the oppression, the tyranny.
I don't want my kids growing up in a world where they don't have religious freedom.
America is the last place that we have that we can run to. If America goes down, everywhere else. There's no way for us to run to.
Your parents came here illegally. You're illegal. Your parents illegal. You're illegal. You're illegal. USA! 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 USA!
There's going to come a day where they're going to say, I wish I stood up when I could. Now I don't even have the freedom to practice my religion. Churches are going to close. They're going to get taken over by the government. I mean, these are all the things that I see coming.
Coming from a socialist country, I've seen it. I was born in Guyana, and in the 60s and 70s, they went through dictatorship. So in 1978, my mom being from Brazil, we fled to Brazil. And Brazil also is a socialist country. I mean, there's corruption in the government and inflation. I mean, everything that we are seeing here happening, I have seen it before. So I was never interested in politics until President Trump, started running for office, and then the things that he stood for and people were against it, I said, that's kind of strange. I've seen this before. So that's when I started being interested. And we also homeschool and studying American history, that kind of opened my eyes about how America was founded in godly principles. So yeah, that's when I started being interested in politics and American history and loving America and
So powerful to hear from somebody who actually has grown up, was born and raised in two different nations that essentially are socialist nations. Now she's here in the United States of America and taking time out of her Saturday. In fact, she's organizing rallies across greater Minnesota, the one here in Fargo, but taking time out of her schedule to say, hey, you know what? I've seen this playbook before. I know what can happen if we let this thing continue to slide in the direction it's sliding. That's why I'm going to come out and take a stand and ensure that I'm going to protect and preserve the freedoms that this great nation provides for you and I. Here's a little bit more from Saturday's Freedom Rally.
respecting for what it stands for.
If people say it doesn't move the needle, it really does. Because one person, if one true patriot gets inspired here and they run for their school board or their county commissioner position or a township position, one person can do a lot.
One person can do a lot. I love that saying. It just takes one. That's why, again, I'm inviting you to ask yourself, hey, what can I do? What can I do to improve the education system here in North Dakota to ensure that the most valuable resource on our planet, our kids, are maximizing their opportunities? Thanks so much for joining us here today. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. on The Chris Berg Show.
Why would you